It's the motherfucking player haters. Oh, yeah.
Player haters.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The word of the day is hustle. As in, you might need to hustle to make a trade that could possibly be the deciding factor as to whether or not you make the playoffs. Right now, myself and Trippin' Billies, we got ourselves a little matchup going on. I click on the league, and homeboy's got Paul Goldschmidt, old Polly Paul, hitting a home run, and we are knotted up in the whole batting categories all the way down until OBP. But yeah. So let's recap last week, shall we? Week 17 came and went, and there was some pretty close matchups here. Not big margins of victory, except actually for the one that I faced off against with Jason. That was the biggest margin of victory, and that was by 4. Trippin' Billies faced off against Mandalorians and won 6-5. Let's see how close this is for our fearless leader. Pretty close. 1 run separated the two. They tied in home runs. Shane ran away with stolen bases, but this was a close matchup, and I think Shane definitely was feeling a little bit of the pressure for sure. Got a big week from Christian Yelich, that is Scott. But yeah, pretty balanced across the board for old Shane there, but he was able to defeat brother Scotty Boy. Another close matchup, Ray and Josh. Josh, he conceded victory and then ended up pulling out a victory with average. Ray took every single batting category except average. And Josh was a little concerned or, afraid, I guess, if you will, but he did end up ultimately defeating her with the pitching categories. But again, she took every single one of those batting categories, getting some pretty good stats from the now injured again Austin Riley. He should just hang it up for the season, in my opinion. Because what season? Isn't it so Braves that, you get a pivotal, huge game. It's being played at Bristol, first time ever, and it gets rained out. And so the day off, you end up playing baseball anyways. So Braves for this season. Nick took another L, and look who brought it with him. Eric. I honestly saw this going differently, but Eric was able to get at least 2 of the batting categories and took 4 of the pitching categories. I wouldn't say Nick is struggling as it is as of late, but I believe that's 2 weeks in a row for Nick. And just, I wouldn't say mediocre either, because these are pretty balanced numbers for the 2 of these guys. But Eric, wants nothing more than to keep winning and possibly ruining some a team or 2 down the road from making the playoffs. I'm not saying Eric is completely out of the playoff race, but it is time to hustle. Now, a tie between Jesus and Sean went down 6-6. Pretty well balanced matchup for these 2 gentlemen, except for Sean just dominated in the pitching categories. 265 ERA. He had 57 strikeouts, 8 wins, but not enough in the batting categories, if you will. There were some close stats for sure, but Jesus was able to pull out the victory and take care of business. Bobby Witt obviously shined bright. He did lose Ronald Acuna Jr., another, just hang it up for the season. No sense in you guys coming back, in my opinion, unless y'all want to play uh, upset kids. And last but not least, Brian did not favor well against Walker. Walker able to get the win 6-5. He won stolen bases of all categories because the last few weeks, if I remember correctly, Brian has been a stolen base king. These two guys actually traded blows, but Brian was able to get 47 ribbies, but Walker had, you know, competitive stats as well. Only one run separated the two of these gentlemen. But again, Chris trying to rise to the top as well was able to dominate the pitching categories and take the win. Got some pretty good stats from Willie Adames, Yandy Diaz, and Jazz Chisholm, to name a few. And yeah, just not any speed this week for Brian, and that ended up being the downfall. So week 17 wrapped up, and of course, like I said, myself and Jason, we faced off against each other. Left a lot of stats on the bench over the course of the week, but I was able to produce some stolen bases for sure. I mean, I just love that Josh Naylor steals bags. It just warms my soul. I don't know why. I just love that dude just runs. So, but yeah. Ended up defeating Jason 7-3. I guess he kind of hit a little lull there for at the beginning of the week with the power, and then I want to say it was Friday. He ended up driving in a lot of runs and home runs, and I just could not get any RBIs. Even in yesterday, I don't even think I drove in, but maybe 2 RBIs on the day. So we ended up tying in that category. A mixture of pitching categories given from both him and I, but not the week that Jason probably wanted for sure. And but he remains in the top 6. Speaking of, let's get into that one. So, as of right now, these are your top 6 teams. Trippin' Billies has got a 3-game lead over Josh, and 3.5-game lead over Brian is Josh. 6 games now separate third from fourth, and myself and Nick are actually tied with that 6-game deficit. So 4th place is actually shared between myself and Nick. 1 game separates myself and Nick from Jason. And only a game and a half back from Jason is Jesus. And a game and a half back from Jesus is Rally Monkeys. That's how close it still is. We're week 18. We have 4 weeks left, including this one. This is really going to be interesting because Mandalorians is only 2.5 games back from Rally Monkeys. Swinging Low is 3 games back from Mandalorians. Mandalorians is 2.5 games, 3.5 games back from Rally Monkeys. But it really feels like that any of the bottom 6 could easily be involved in the playoff conversation within 2 weeks, a week, this week. So, which brings us to the matchups that we now face for this week. Week 18 looks like this. Myself and Shane will be facing off. I need nothing more than to at least keep it close because I'm facing the number one guy, and he's got a big lead on myself, and I do not need. I just mentioned I'm only a game above sixth place, tied with fifth place. Do not need to face a loss of a big margin this week against the number one team. A lot of big matchups this week for sure. Josh will be facing off against Brian, another top 6 matchup. Mikasis Sukasis and Rally Monkeys, that's another big matchup. If Walker can pull off the big win against Nick, we could see those two guys trading places. And then you got Mandalorians facing off against Sean, another brother fight. Scott and Sean playing. I mean, like I said, Scott could easily, if one of myself and Nick fall hard, we could see Scott back in the top 6. Ray is facing off against Jason. Jason needs nothing more than a big bounce back week to stay in contention because, again, he's got several people nipping at his heels. And one of those is Jesus, who's playing Eric. So those are your matchups for the week. Man, these, again, August 7th, 3 days, trade deadline. You got to hustle. Who are you willing to give up? What do you need? And as Walker has mentioned, after that, there's only so many moves that are available. Shane has 16. Benchwarmer, Josh has 11. Brian has 12. Nick has a lot left. Yes, the math escapes me. Thanks, Brian. 32. Another with 11 is Jason. Jesus has quite a bit. What is that? 38. Rally Monkeys only has 8 left. And he's, mathematically equated it to, he still gets 2 moves per week. 27 for Scott. I mean, you just hear, some have saved theirs and others have not, myself included. So therefore, I don't even get the bonus, I guess, at the end of the season. So I think, if I'm remembering the rule correctly. But anyways, that's your matchups of the week. I hope you guys had a great week. I don't really think I have anything else to discuss. I know these have been kind of quick. These last few, not taking up 30 minutes of your time with my rants and shit. Yeah, that's all I got, guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Peace. It's the motherfucker.